Okay, we are like 1 month away from the 2026 World Cup. The past 4 years have gone by way too fast. It feels like it was yesterday that we were watching the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. With that said, for this edition of the World Cup, who will flop? Is there a legitimate dark horse? What does the bracket even look like? And most importantly, who is going to win the 2026 World Cup? Today, we are going to dive into all of that. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo, and welcome to Chapéu Football, where we provide the best coverage of South American football in English on YouTube. And obviously, we're going to be doing a big, massive coverage of the 2026 World Cup here at the channel. So if you haven't already, subscribe right now or you will miss out. And if you miss out, that's literally all on you. So a while back, I did a predictions video, but back then we did not have all the nations that have qualified, right? The Europeans, the Interconfederation playoffs, and many injuries have happened since. So I thought to myself, it's time to update it. Because that video did very well. I looked at the comments and people were saying, this guy's incredible. He's got aura, ball knowledge. It's unbelievable. Everything he's saying will definitely happen in the World Cup. He's like the soccer or football Nostradamus. So we're doing it again. I am going to go through every single result, score by score, the bracket, until we finally reach the final and choose the winner of the 2026 World Cup. And don't worry, the simulator that I'm going to be using in this video, I'm going to put the link to it in the description of this video in case you want to do your own simulation of the 2026 World Cup. The only thing I ask in exchange is for you to drop a like in this video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who will be the dark horse of the 2026 World Cup and who will win the World Cup. And actually, I want to know also another thing. Which national team will be the biggest flop? Okay, let's roll the intro and start the episode. Okay, so before we start, I want to put here on screen very quickly a list of players that are injured and won't be in the World Cup. Why does it matter? Because sometimes one or two players can be a make it or break it for a national team. Obviously, Netherlands not having Xavi Simons, that's a big blow for the Dutch. Brazil doesn't have Éder Militão, Estevão, and Rodrigo. Honestly, all three of them could have been starters for Brazil. Militão very likely was a starter for Brazil in this World Cup. Then you have a few other guys missing. I don't think France will miss Ekitike too much. They'll be okay. Argentina won't have Foyth and Joaquin Pancinelli. They'll be fine. But Ghana won't have Mohamed Salisu and Mohamed Kudus. So Ghana is screwed, and we'll talk about that later in the video during the predictions. Minamino and Endo won't be there for Japan. I think they have replacements for those players. Japan should be fine. Endo also, if I'm not mistaken, if you're a Japanese national team fan, I'm pretty sure Endo hasn't played well for the national team anyway. Serge Gnabry won't be available for Germany. And then they have the goalkeeper, Luis Malagon, not available for Mexico. Mexico will be fine, right? Just take Memo Ochoa out of the freezer. That's a legendary World Cup player right there. I heard Memo Ochoa might be in the World Cup. So just bring Memo Ochoa and you'll be fine. He shows up in the World Cup. So that said, why don't we start the predictions, right? All the results. Everything uncensored right here at Chapéu Football. And if you have made it this far in the video, make sure to drop a like. Let's go through it. So Group A and Group B. Group A, we have South Korea, Mexico, the Czech Republic, and South Africa. We didn't expect the Czech Republic to make it. I thought Denmark was going to be there. Denmark didn't make it. So how is this group going to play out? First and foremost, I don't expect to see many goals in this group. Okay, if you go through the Mexican national team, their forte, for example, is their defense. And all other teams, these are not teams that are really expected to go far in the tournament. They don't have that much quality up top. I would argue that South Korea might have the most talent in this group. When you look into players like Son, for example, he might be the most talented player in this group, even though he plays in MLS these days for LAFC. You also have Kang Lee from PSG, Kim, the center back from Bayern. They might have the most talent. Now, how's this group going to play out? I think Mexico is going to win the first game against South Africa. South Africa had a good cycle, but they've been kind of bad for the past few games. South Africa, the past few friendlies. So I think Mexico wins the first game in the Azteca, and South Korea defeats the Czech Republic 2-1. Second match day, I think we'll have a draw between South Africa and the Czech Republic, and Mexico and South Korea will draw also 2-2. Then the last day, I think Mexico beats the Czech Republic 1-0. and South Korea beat South Africa 2-0. So South Korea in first with 7 points, Mexico in second with 7 points due to goal differential, Czech Republic in third with 1 point, South Africa in fourth with 1 point. Now, listen, the 8 best third place teams will advance to the next round. I'm going to go through that table before we go to the knockout rounds. Okay. Now, Group B, we have Canada, Switzerland, Bosnia, and Qatar. So this was the group that Italy was supposed to be there. But the Italians, right? They've been boycotting World Cup since 2018. They didn't want to play in Russia, didn't want to play in Qatar. Now they don't want to play in the United States. And for those of you, unfortunately, I have to tell you all that this is a joke because I made a video on the other channel we have, Tactical Manager TV, talking about how the World Cup feels off. And I talked about Italy boycotting it as a joke. And people start calling me stupid as if I didn't know that Italy didn't qualify. Brother, I cover football or soccer for a living here. I know Italy didn't qualify. It's obviously a joke. But anyhow, let's talk about this group. So Canada and Bosnia in the first game, 0-0 in my opinion. It's going to be a tough game. Canada led by American coach Jesse Marsch that has experience in Austria, the Premier League, the Bundesliga. And I know Canada is very often seen as a joke. They don't have a bad team. They have Alphonso Davies. That's an incredible player. Their midfielder Eustáquio is very good. Ismael Kone is very good. They have Jonathan David, a striker from Juventus. He's quite good. Kyle Larin, the other center forward, he's serviceable. Tejan Buchanan, Bombito on defense. They have a good team, Canada. Okay, they're not as bad as people think, and you're going to see in the World Cup. So they'll tie Bosnia 0-0. Bosnia that has also an American playing on the wing, Esmir Bajraktarovic. He scored the penalty kick to get Bosnia in the World Cup against Italy. Switzerland versus Qatar. Switzerland will win it, and with some ease. They're a much better team than Qatar. Qatar will try to play on the counterattack and transition. Good luck to them on that. They'll pull a goal here and there in the World Cup. Maybe Akram Afif gets a goal. We'll see. Anyhow, second game. Switzerland will beat Bosnia 2-0 because Switzerland ain't Italy. They're going to find a way to beat Bosnia. And Canada will defeat Qatar 3-1. Then match day 3, I have Switzerland beating Canada 1-0. I think the Canadians can give the Swiss a hard time, but they're not going to beat the Swiss or even tie. Bosnia will defeat Qatar. And then we have the group with Switzerland finishing with 9 points, Canada in second with 4 due to goal differential because Bosnia also has 4. And Qatar, once again, sucking. They'll finish in last in this group. I don't know how they won the Asian Cup. I do not rate the Qatari team. I've watched them play in the Gold Cup twice. One with reserves, one with the main team. They lost the United States' reserves when they brought their best team. I don't know how they're winning the Asian Cup. There are many good teams in Asia, but here we are, and Qatar makes it to the World Cup, but they're going to get grouped again. 0 points. I do not rate this team if you haven't noticed yet. So let's move on to groups C and D. All right, C and D. C, we have Brazil, Morocco, Scotland, and Haiti. The first game between Brazil and Morocco, these are two teams that respect each other very much. I have a draw. Okay, Morocco beat Brazil early in the cycle in a friendly. And Morocco, I think this game will be a 1-1 draw, which is not a bad result for Brazil, not a bad result for Morocco. I also want to see how Morocco does in this World Cup because in 2022, the spotlight was not in Morocco, and they went deep. They did good, very good, right? They beat Spain, beat Portugal, made it to the semifinals. It was an incredible run for Morocco. First African team ever to make it to a World Cup semifinals. But now the spotlight is on them. And I wonder how they will handle that. This is a team that is tough as nails, but we'll see. We'll see. But they'll tie Brazil in the first game, and Scotland will beat Haiti. I know Haiti very well. I watched them in CONCACAF. If you don't know, I covered the U.S. national team extensively for multiple years at Tactical Manager TV. I know Haiti very well. This is not a team that's going to do great in the World Cup. I'm happy that they made it. I have a lot of friends from Haiti, especially here living in Florida, right? I hope they do well, but I think Haiti will lose every single game of the group stage. I'm happy that they're here, but I'm just being honest. I got to call a spade a spade. I have to just tell you my opinion as it is. Scotland and Morocco, I think Morocco will defeat Scotland 2-1. Brazil will defeat Haiti 4-0. Then Brazil will beat Scotland 1-0. That's going to be a very tough game in Miami between Brazil and Scotland. And then Morocco beats Haiti 2-0. Brazil finishes in first due to goal differential. Morocco in second, Scotland in third, and Haiti with 0 points. Now, Group D with the United States of America, the main host of the World Cup. I think the U.S. will pull a scrappy, tough win in the first game against Paraguay, 1-0. The U.S. recently beat Paraguay in a friendly. My only concern of that game is if Paraguay scores first. It's one of those games that whoever scores first, that's going to be it. That's going to be the goal for the game. The US will struggle a lot to get a goal if Paraguay scores first, and then they just start, comet balling, wasting time, being a bit overly aggressive and defending in the low block. But I think US will pull a 1-0 win in the first game. Australia, I do not rate this Australian team. I don't think they have much quality up top to punish their opponents. The defense will be tough. They're going to play very hard. That's how they do it. But I think Turkey with Yildiz, Arda Güler, more talent, they'll beat Australia 3-1. Second round, Turkey ties Paraguay 1-1. US ties Australia 1-1. And you're going to be saying, so you're saying you don't rate Australia, but the US will tie Australia? Yes, I think the U.S. is a shaky team. They might struggle. Australia could get a goal on set pieces, and I don't see the United States scoring more than one goal against the Australian defense. Last round, I think the U.S. will pull a 1-1 draw against Turkey. The U.S. usually plays the level of the opponent, so 1-1 with Turkey, and then Paraguay defeats Australia 2-0. With that, Turkey finishes first on goal differential, the U.S. in second due to goal differential with 5 points, Paraguay in third with fourth, and Australia with 1 point. They're going to be out of the World Cup right there in fourth place. Now let's go to Group E and F. Group E, I have Germany, Ecuador, Ivory Coast, and Curacao. Curacao has a few good dual nationals from the Dutch, from the Netherlands, but they're kind of like B-tier dual nationals, right? They don't play for the Dutch because they're not good enough. Germany will beat Curacao 4-0, and Ecuador, which might have even one of the best defenses in the World Cup, if not the best defense, they'll beat the Ivory Coast 1-0. Ivory Coast is a good team, by the way. That's not going to be an easy game. And I think Ecuador will not have Moises Caicedo for that first game. So that's going to be a big struggle, but I still think Ecuador will pull that 1-0 win. I believe they have it in them to do so. Second game, I believe Caicedo will be back there. Ecuador 2-0 against Curacao. Germany 2-1 against the Ivory Coast. And if you're from the Ivory Coast, I'm sorry. I think you have a good team. But this is a tough group, man. You're going to have to play Germany and Ecuador. Ecuador is the best defense in South American World Cup qualifying. Last round, I think Germany and Ecuador, both teams will have already qualified. It's going to be a 0-0 draw. And then Curacao will lose to the Ivory Coast 2-0. Ivory Coast finishes in third with 3 points. They might still advance to the next round. We'll check very soon. Germany, Ecuador will finish Germany in first due to goal differential, Ecuador in second. Group F, Japan, Netherlands, Sweden, and Tunisia. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't rate the Tunisia side. Okay, I just want to make that clear from the get-go. They barely beat Haiti recently in a friendly. I don't rate them. I rate Japan very much. I think Japan is a dark horse. The Dutch have a great defense and a very good team, very strong team. Shout out to Memphis Depay that plays for Corinthians in Brazil. I have Japan beating the Netherlands in the first game. And many of you are going to say, you are too high on Japan. It's like, guys, Japan is better now than they were in 2022. And they beat Germany. They beat Spain in 2022. So why can't they beat the Dutch? And mind you, they lost to the Croatian team in the round of 16, right, in 2022 on penalty shootouts. The same Croatian side that knocked out Brazil. And Brazil is very good in the 2022 World Cup. So I think Japan will beat the Netherlands 2-1. Sweden will defeat Tunisia 2-1. Now, I said I don't rate Tunisia, but they're not a garbage team. They're not horrible. So it's going to be tough. Japan 2, Tunisia 0 will be the second game or the second round for that group. Netherlands 1, Sweden 0. I think the Dutch will pull a win against the Swedish team. And then the last round of this group, I have the Netherlands beating Tunisia 4-1, Japan beating Sweden 1-0. So Japan tops the group with 9 points, Netherlands with 6 in second, Sweden in third with 3 points, and Tunisia with 0. Now, you may be saying, why are you putting all the results accurately to what you expect? Because the goal differential matters, especially for the third place teams. That's why I'm doing it this way with the exact results that I expect. For the knockout rounds, I'm just going to pick a winner because in the knockout rounds, it doesn't really matter how you win, right? It doesn't really matter. You just got to win in advance. Let's go now to Group G and Group H. So Group G, Belgium, Iran, Egypt, and New Zealand. This is honestly the least exciting group to me. Belgium is clearly the favorites. The only thing interesting about this group is whether or not Iran will play in the World Cup. According to Gianni Infantino, the FIFA president, that nobody likes him, right? Nobody likes him. The guy is driven by politics, greed. He lies a lot. It's just, I just don't like the guy. He said that Iran will play. At the time of this recording, it seems like Iran will play. And this team is not that bad. That's the first thing with Iran. They're not a bad team. But on top of that, they're going to come in with a fight in them with everything that's happening, right, between the United States and Iran. So I wouldn't underestimate them. These guys are not going to want to lose. It's obviously there's a limit to like, I don't want to lose. I'm not going to lose. You can still lose because there are better teams, but don't underestimate Iran in this World Cup. They might actually do better than we expect. So I have Belgium beating Egypt, a team that I don't rate. And also Mo Salah is not in great form, didn't have the best season with Liverpool. Belgium 4, Egypt 2, Iran 2, New Zealand 1. Then I have New Zealand and Egypt with a 0-0 draw. I could see Egypt pulling a win there against New Zealand, but I feel like it's going to be 0-0 and Belgium beating Iran 1-0. For the last round of that group, I have Belgium beating New Zealand 4-1 and Egypt losing to Iran 2-0. So with that, Belgium in first with 9 points, Iran in second with 6 points, Egypt in third with 1 point, and New Zealand in fourth with 1 point. Now, Group H, we have Spain, big-time title contenders, Uruguay under Marcelo Bielsa, Saudi Arabia, that, by the way, they fired Hervé Renard like a few weeks ago, a couple months before the World Cup, their coach, a guy that's good at pulling upsets. Good luck to Saudi Arabia. I don't think they have the quality also. It's not really a team that I rate. And then you have Cape Verde. Congratulations, Cape Verde, on playing their very first World Cup. By the way, they speak Portuguese there. Just a little fun fact for the Brazilians and Portuguese people. So I have Spain topping this group. They beat Cape Verde 4-0, and Uruguay of Marcelo Bielsa beat Saudi Arabia 2-1 in the first game. No upset for Saudi Arabia in the first round. Second round, Uruguay beats Cape Verde 3-1, and Spain beats Saudi Arabia 2-0. Last round, Spain beats Uruguay 2-1, and Cape Verde and Saudi Arabia tie 2-2. Not that it matters who wins. Well, it does, because I guess whoever wins could go through. But I think it's going to be a draw. I think Cape Verde will come out of this World Cup with at least a point, and that'll be against Saudi Arabia, a team that doesn't have that much quality. Sorry, that is a fact. Okay. So Spain in first with 9 points, Uruguay in second with 6, Saudi Arabia in third with 1, very likely eliminated, and Cape Verde in fourth, definitely eliminated from the World Cup. Now, Group I and J, we have 4 more groups to go. God, this World Cup has a lot of teams and a lot of groups. Group I, France, Senegal, Norway, and Iraq. So I have France and Senegal tying the first game. Senegal is a very good team. Very, very good team. If not the best in Africa right now with Morocco. Those are the two, in my opinion. So 1-1 draw. It'll be a bit of surprise, but I think it'll happen. Norway will beat Iraq 4-0. I'm sorry, Iraq is the punching bag of this group. Match day 2, I have Senegal beating Iraq 3-0 and France defeating Norway 1-0. Last round, I have France defeating Iraq 2-0 and Senegal and Norway tying 2-2. With that, France finishes in first with 7 points, Senegal in second with 5, Norway in third with 4, and Iraq in fourth with 0 points. Let me get some water, some agua here, just because I'm talking so much. I've been talking for 15 minutes straight. So now Group J. Argentina, the current champions. Austria, very good team. I believe Ralph Ragnick is still in charge. Yeah, that's a very good team right there. Austria. Algeria, another good team. They have many players playing in top 5 leagues in Europe. Algeria is a strong team from Africa. Don't underestimate them. And then you also have, obviously, Jordan. Okay, so Argentina will beat Algeria 2-1 in the first game. Austria will beat Jordan 2-0. Jordan will lose to Algeria 4-2 in the second round. Argentina and Austria, I think that'll win 1-1. That'll be the big surprise right there, that round. Match day 3, I have Argentina beating Jordan 2-0 and Algeria and Austria tying 0-0. With that, Argentina finishes in first, Austria in second with 5 points, Algeria in third with 4 points, and Jordan in last with 0 points. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, Jordan. The last 2 groups now, finally, Group K and Group L. Group L with England, obviously. How fitting, right? So, Group K, we have Colombia, Portugal, Uzbekistan, and Congo. And I'll say this, unless you think Portugal will beat Colombia, I firmly believe that Colombia will top the group because I think Colombia will score more goals. Portugal, in their pragmatic style of play, which unfortunately it's always like that, they'll score less in the group stage. For that reason, on goal differential, I think Colombia will finish in first on goal differential, unless you think Portugal will beat Colombia in the last game. So Portugal beats Congo 2-0, Colombia beats Uzbekistan 4-1. And then Colombia beats Congo 2-1, and then Portugal beats Uzbekistan 1-0. By the way, Uzbekistan and Congo are no pushovers, okay? I'm not making fun of them. I just think those will be the results. Then Colombia and Portugal tie 1-1 in the last game, which leads to Colombia finishing first, and Uzbekistan beats Congo 3-1. So Colombia first, Portugal second. Uzbekistan third, and Congo fourth. Group L with England, Croatia, Panama, and Ghana. I have England beating Croatia in the first game 2-1. Ghana and Panama tying 1-1. Ghana hasn't been great lately, and they actually lost two players that we talked about, right? Kudos and Salizo. That's a big deal. Okay, so I think Panama under Thomas Christensen, very good, very well coached team. Sometimes they're tough, sometimes they're not. They've upset the United States quite a lot lately. I think it's going to be 1-1. Then I think Croatia will beat Panama. England will beat Ghana 4-0. Then Panama will lose to England, and Croatia will beat Ghana. England in first, Croatia in second, Panama in third, and then Ghana in fourth, mainly due to goal differential. So let's go through now the third place teams that advance. So, based on these results, these are all the third place teams. Okay. Norway, Algeria, Paraguay, Bosnia, Scotland, Ivory Coast, Sweden, Uzbekistan, Czech Republic, Saudi Arabia, Panama, and Egypt. And out of all third place teams, Norway advanced, Algeria, Paraguay, Bosnia, Scotland, Ivory Coast, Sweden, and Uzbekistan. So the Czech Republic, Saudi Arabia, Panama, and Egypt, those four third place teams do not advance to the knockout rounds. So now let's go to the knockout bracket, shall we? So one side of the bracket we have here, pathway one. The first matchup is Germany and Paraguay. Look, Paraguay, tough as nails, great defense, but Germany ain't losing to Paraguay here in the round of 32. So I have Germany advancing. France and Sweden. Sweden can be a tough team. Isaac should be 100% by then, but it's France all the way. They'll defeat Sweden. And look at this, the host nations clash. Mexico and Canada. Holy smokes, look at that. By the way, I didn't talk about this earlier, but if you want a prospect to follow throughout this, Gilberto Mora from Mexico. He's an incredible player. 17. He's going to start for Mexico if he's healthy. Incredible talent. Gilberto Mora. And I don't say this lightly because I don't like to overhype Mexico. Gilberto Mora. Make sure to follow him. Now, Mexico and Canada is an interesting one, and I believe if they clash there, this game will still be in Mexico. I think only the next round that Mexico goes to the United States, and even if it was in the United States, Mexico would sell out. And I think Mexico right now, they're a more consistent team, and they're probably a better team than Canada. I trust them more under Aguirre than Canada under Jesse Marsh. I have Mexico knocking out Canada in the knockout round. They're the first one. Then we have here match 75, Japan and Morocco. That's what I talked about, Morocco, when we mentioned now the spotlight is on them. And I think Japan will knock out Morocco. Will Japan struggle with the physicality of Morocco? Yes. But honestly, I think Japan has more quality. I know some people are going to disagree with me. I truly believe Japan has better players in the final third. I think they will beat Morocco. They just have to be smart about it. Don't get killed in transition on the counterattack. I think this is the end of the road for Morocco, which is unfortunate that they're getting knocked out early, but Japan will knock out Morocco. Now, Portugal and Croatia, end of the road for Croatia. I think Portugal will advance. Spain will knock out Austria. So we're going to have a big matchup here between Portugal and Spain, right? Portugal and Spain. Then here we have Turkey versus Bosnia. When push comes to shove here, I think Bosnia will have the fight in them to knock out Turkey. I think Turkey will end right here and Bosnia will advance. And Belgium will knock out the Ivory Coast. Now, before I go to the round of 16, because this World Cup has round of 32, round of 16, quarterfinals, semifinals, and final, let's go to the other side of the bracket and go through the round of 32. Wow, we have a big matchup right away. Brazil versus the Dutch. Big game right there. These teams battled it out in the 90s, right? In 94, 98 in the knockout rounds. And Brazil won both of those. And I think Brazil will win this one as well. I don't think Brazil's road will end in the round of 32. And Brazil will finally defeat an European team, something Brazil hasn't done in the knockout rounds since 2002 when they beat Germany in the final. They also beat Belgium and England that year. And Turkey. They played all European teams actually in the knockout rounds. I think finally Brazil will beat a European team and they'll defeat the Netherlands. The other one is Ecuador versus Senegal. I think Ecuador will advance. And I'll tell you why. I think defense wins championships. And I don't think Ecuador is going to win the World Cup. They're still far from that. They still have a long way to go. But that game against Senegal, you see right there, 1-0 Ecuador. I think that's what will happen. By the way, I don't think Brazil will beat the Netherlands 3-0. That is just a random simulation because I'm just picking the winner, right, in these matches. But 1-0 Ecuador against Senegal, I can totally see that happening. Now, South Korea versus Scotland. As I said, South Korea has a lot of talent, but I think the Scottish will be able to pull through playing some Brexit ball right here. Long ball, defend for their lives. Scott McTominay pulls some Serie magic trick out of his ass. I think Scotland would defeat South Korea in the knockout rounds. In England and Uzbekistan, England would beat Uzbekistan. And this is incredible now. And look, I'm doing this right now as we're recording. This is an incredible matchup right there. England versus Scotland. My goodness, this is gonna be huge. This is gonna be incredible. And this is big too. Look at this. Argentina and Uruguay. Now, I'm sorry, Marcelo Bielsa in Uruguay. Argentina is not going to lose to Uruguay in round 32. Not to this version of Uruguay. So Argentina will advance. And oh my God. Holy shit. United States versus Iran. Guys, you can't make this up. I swear. I put the results before we started the recording, and I didn't look at the bracket. I promise you, all these matchups are random. Like Canada, Mexico, Scotland and England, Argentina and Uruguay. But USA versus Iran. I'm sorry, I'm frozen here for a second because the political tensions for this game, it could even get ugly on the field. And listen, as an American, I can only pick one winner here. I also think the United States is a better team than Iran, but this game scares me. The Iran players would 100% want to win this to make a statement, a political statement even. I have the United States advancing, and honestly, I hope this matchup does not happen between the U.S. and Iran because I'm scared for the U.S. losing. I think the U.S. could lose this game. The way Iran would approach this would be insane. It would be a very tough game. I have the United States advancing, but holy crap, can you believe it? And then you have Switzerland and Algeria. I think Switzerland beats Algeria. Colombia versus Norway. My dear Colombian friends. My goodness. This is going to be a high-scoring game right there. Colombia versus Norway. The Colombians are going to pack the stadium. And I know some people are going to say Norway is a very good team. They're one of the big reasons why Italy is not in the World Cup. And so is Colombia. This is a great team. Luis Diaz, John Arias, Richard Rios. James Rodriguez is in poor form. Then on the other side, you have, what is it? Odegaard, Haaland. Is Odegaard healthy right now? Yeah, he's healthy. He's healthy. I am going to go with Colombia. I'm going to go with my fellow Colombians advancing. And Norway will be out of the World Cup in Erling Haaland. So Switzerland, Colombia, Argentina, USA, Brazil and Ecuador, Scotland, and England. Let's go back to pathway 1 and do the round of 16. Germany versus France. Germany versus France. It's a tough matchup that can honestly go either way, but I have to give France the edge. I just think France has better players. I am not sold on Germany under Julian Nagelsmann. France has the experience in the World Cup. Didier Deschamps has been around for how many World Cups now? 2014, 2018, 2022. He made it to 2 finals, won a World Cup. I think France will knock out Germany. Mexico and Japan. This is going to be a massive game. And this is where I think the World Cup will end for the second host nation. So Canada's already out. I think Japan will knock out Mexico. They're just going to out-talent Mexico. I just think Japan has a much better team, and they'll knock out Mexico. Portugal and Spain. I know this may sound crazy to some of you. I do think, well, not too crazy. I think Portugal has a shot, but they need to bench Cristiano Ronaldo. I just think Spain has a better team. I know, I believe Portugal, if I'm not mistaken, Portugal defeated Spain, right? Was it in the Nations League? I believe in the Nations League final, Portugal actually beat Spain in the final. When was that game again? It was last year. They beat them on penalty shootouts. It can go either way. I think Spain is a better team. I mean, they won the Euros, right? This is a tough one, man. This is a tough one. I think Portugal will knock out Spain. I don't know why. This one, I'm going on my gut feeling. I'm going on my gut feeling. I think Portugal will knock out Spain. And then Belgium and Bosnia, I think Belgium will knock out Bosnia. And some of you are gonna say you're a Ronaldo fan. It's like I'm not really. I'm not really. I admire the player. I think he's an incredible player, but many even call me a Ronaldo hater. And I think Spain are the World Cup favorites, but for some reason, something's telling me if they face Portugal, which that means Portugal advance in second place, because if Colombia goes in second, they would play Colombia. I think against Colombia, Spain wins. Against Portugal, I think Portugal's going to pull a win. I think it's going to happen, man. And again, Portugal's a very good team. João Neves, Nuno Mendes, Bruno Fernandes, great player right there. Rafael Leao hasn't been great, but Bernardo Silva. I think Portugal will knock out Spain. Tough one right there. So we have quarterfinals, France and Japan, Portugal versus Belgium. All right, let's go through here to pathway 2. Brazil and Ecuador. Look, my Ecuadorian friends, I think this is the end of the road for Ecuador. This is a great World Cup for Ecuador. They can build a lot out of this. We made a video about the rise of Ecuadorian football. I think this is not it for Ecuador. I think in the next decade or so, we're going to see a very strong Ecuadorian side, much more than this one, because they're going to have better talent up top. The problem with Ecuador right now is not their defense. It's where the goal is going to come from against Brazil. I think Brazil knocks out Ecuador here. And then England and Scotland, this is going to be a battle. But I don't think the road ends for England here. I think under Thomas Tuchel, they beat Scotland and they're going to play Brazil in the quarterfinals, a rematch of the 2002 World Cup. Now, Argentina, the United States, just like Mexico, the road ended. I'm a bit biased for the United States, but again, if the U.S. and Argentina play 50 times, Argentina wins 49. Would this be incredible for U.S. soccer if the U.S. knocked out Argentina and Messi, pretty much retired Messi from the World Cup? Yes. Do I want that to happen? Yes. But in this video, I'm trying not to be biased. I'm trying to give my honest opinion. And to be honest, Argentina would knock out the United States. If the United States knocked out Argentina in this game, it would be the biggest game in U.S. men's national team history if that happened. The entire country would be talking about it. And I want that to happen. I don't think it will. So I have to advance Argentina. Unfortunately, I don't like Argentina. I love the United States. I wish the United States could knock out Argentina. I just don't see it happening. Colombia and Switzerland, I think this is where it ends for Switzerland. I think Colombia will knock out Switzerland. It won't be 3-0. It'll be a tough game, but I think Colombia will advance and play Argentina. So let's just go through these two already, right? Brazil and England. I think Brazil will knock out England. Sue me. I think it'll happen. I'm not being biased here. I truly believe that Brazil will eliminate England from this World Cup. I think that England back line, the defense is very shaky. I think people are underestimating Brazil quite a bit. England's a very possession-heavy team, and Brazil is going to be a counterattacking team in this World Cup. I think people are underestimating Brazil. When that happens, good things happen with Brazil. I think Brazil under Ancelotti will beat England and will advance to the semifinals. Argentina and Colombia. I actually think this is the end of the road for Argentina. People are going to say, you're crazy. There is no way. There is absolutely no way Colombia knocks out Argentina. I think they will. I know this may sound crazy now. And you may be saying you're just biased against Argentina. I'm also not a big fan of Colombia either. But I think this will be the shock of the World Cup. I think Colombia will knock out Argentina. This is actually wild because I'm doing this right now. So Colombia's a dark horse. They made it to the semifinals in my prediction. This is insane. It's mainly because of the bracket. Because I wouldn't have Colombia as a dark horse, but They can beat Norway, they can beat Switzerland, and then Argentina, you'd say that's where they lose. I think Colombia can very well beat Argentina, and they will. Now, if we go to this one here, Japan versus France, Japan is also a very possession-heavy team, and France has too much quality. And when Japan plays that high line, I don't think Japan will bunker and play a low block against France. I think France will knock out Japan. This is the end of the road for Japan. I don't think they'll adapt well enough to play against the quality and athleticism of the French side. So for that reason, France advances to the semifinals. Portugal and Belgium. Portugal knocks out Belgium, and Portugal makes it to the semifinals. Portugal versus France on one side, and on the other side, we have Brazil versus Colombia. People are going to say I'm biased because of the channel, but again, I don't think I made crazy picks for Brazil here. They're perfectly capable of knocking out the Netherlands, Ecuador, and England. It's 50-50. Brazil and Colombia, I think Brazil would knock out Colombia here. If Colombia makes it to the final of the World Cup, that is freaking insane. It's already insane to me that I picked Colombia to make it to the semifinals. People are going to call me crazy. But don't forget, many of you don't know this, I was the guy that predicted Canada to make it to the semifinals of the Copa America. There's a video on Tactical Manager TV where I predicted that. And people called me crazy at the time, and I was right. But I have Brazil knocking out Colombia and making it to the World Cup final. And then honestly, pathway one here between France and Portugal, I think France knocks out Portugal. I think France will be in the World Cup final. And unfortunately, you guys can pick Portugal and Colombia. I don't care. I think Portugal will win and get third place with Cristiano Ronaldo. He'll finally score a knockout goal in the World Cup because he never scored one. And in a final between Brazil and France, I think France are the favorites and they would win the World Cup if they play Brazil. I think the way Brazil wins this World Cup is if somehow Brazil avoids France. That's how I think Brazil wins the World Cup. Because the thing is, the way Ancelotti wants to set up Brazil as a reactive team, they will struggle against other reactive teams like France. But France has they have more quality than Brazil. Not by a lot. Some people are going to say it's a lot. I don't think it's a lot, but they have more quality. And I know you guys are going to say, so you're really picking France? 3 World Cup finals in a row? Yeah, that's not too crazy. Brazil has done that. Brazil won the 94 World Cup. They lost the 98 World Cup in the final to France, by the way. And then they won 2002. Brazil has done that with a very good generation. France has an incredible generation. We have to admit it. It's a great generation that France has. So if they play Brazil in the final, I think France would win. Those are my thoughts. If you guys want me to put the bracket once again, which was kind of crazy, the entire bracket, let's put the bracket here. Here's pathway 1. You guys can look at it right here. Pathway 1. Insane storylines, insane games. Pathway 2 right here. This was an incredible predictions video. It actually surprised me because, like I said, the knockouts, I didn't look at it until you saw it as well, the recording. I only put the results in the group before we recorded. I didn't look at the bracket. That was crazy. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Let me know your predictions in the comment section down below. Let me know your dark horse, your flop, your World Cup champion, and subscribe because we're going to do a lot of World Cup content. It's going to be good. It's going to be incredible. And I hope to see you here in the comment section, hanging out with us during live streams, and much more during the World Cup. Thank you very much for watching and have a great day.